Hey, it's John Liebman from For Bass Players Only. This month's From the Vault interview is with bass legend Leland Sklar from the 2015 Warwick bass camp, Neukirchen, Germany. You're going to hear Leland talk all about his experience on the James Taylor Carole King reunion tour, from the Troubadour to sold-out arenas, and how those songs connected with generations of fans. Plus, the story behind Billy Cobham's iconic Spectrum album, recorded back in the early 70s, at a time when, as Leland puts it, there were no rules. You're gonna love this one. Check it out.
Hi, Leland Sklar here, and you're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. It's the best.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. We are here today in the famous and Warwick World Headquarters, Neukirchen, Germany, and I'm here with none other than bass legend himself, Leland Sklar. How you doing, Lee?
Bass legume.
bass legume.
I'm doing great. I'm having the time of my life. I love it here. This is my third one. I did the first 2 years of this, and then last year I had a conflict of scheduling with Phil Collins, so I couldn't be here. And I assured them I would come back this year, no matter what. So here we are.
Here we are, yes. I was here last year, and we missed you. Here we are at the bass camp, annual bass camp that Warwick puts on. You were one of the earlier interviews we did on For Bass Players Only. I was just looking at it. It was from March 1st, 2010. So we got the whole story about your musical upbringing in James Taylor and how that all got going. For BassPlayersOnly.com, just to put in the search window, Leland Sklar. It'll pop right up. But let's catch up. There was one thing in particular I want to talk about, the very special tour you did with James Taylor and Carole King. My wife and I had the pleasure of seeing that. Tell us about that a little bit. What was that like?
Well, I mean, it was fantastic. The thing was, everything started at the Troubadour in Los Angeles. The Troubadour is one of the most famous clubs in Los Angeles. And in 1970 was the first time we played there. And it was James. Carole King was our piano player. She hadn't recorded Tapestry or anything. She was known as a songwriter, but she was not really an artist at that point. So she was just playing piano with us. Danny Korchmar on guitar, Russ Kunkel, and myself. So I think it was 2009, I guess, when that tour was, the reunion tour, something 10 or somewhere around, I don't remember what year. It was pitched, they were celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Troubadour Club. So in order to do that, they started putting some ideas together, and one of the ideas was to bring James and the original band back to the Troubadour and play for a week. It was so successful that then it turned into becoming like a national tour. And we went from the Troubadour little club to arenas. We played Madison Square Garden for several nights and turned out to be one of the biggest tours of the year financially. And the thing that was great about it was you'd look out from the stage at the audience and you'd see a minimum 3 generations of families out there crying, laughing, singing along. I mean, because those songs at this point represented births, marriages, deaths. I mean, so many benchmarks in people's lives, and hearing that band play them again, I think, was really a profound cathartic experience for the audience, as it was for the band on stage. We were moved every night by this. And the thing that was really fun with it, a lot of bands, when they go on the road, they do a VIP thing, and the people end up, like getting to view backstage, and they get a laminate or some crap like that, and they pay like, $1,000 for their ticket. Well, we had a VIP area. We were in the round stage in the middle of everything that rotated for the show, and around that they actually created a nightclub vibe of chairs and tables, and it was all separated, and those seats were $1,500 a seat. But those people came to sound check. They had dinner with us. We took pictures and signed stuff for everybody, and we got to know them kind of during sound check. So during the show, we had this familiar group of people all sitting there going like this. And so, but the cool thing was 100% of the money went to charity from that section, and I think we raised $8 million on the tour. Like when we played Nashville, it was right after they had their big flood, so all the money from that gig from that section in Nashville went to flood relief.
That is beautiful. It was a great show too,
Yeah,
and
I loved it.
I'm glad you shared that with the
I'd still do
chick.
it today if they wanted to. I'd go right back out and do it again.
Well, I hope you will. Maybe James is watching. Yeah.
As long as we're not in Depends and with walkers, we're good.
There's another special milestone anniversary that I want to ask you about. One of my favorite albums is Billy Cobham, Spectrum. That came out, I think, around '73.
Yeah, I think
so there was a 30-year anniversary, and then there was a 40-year anniversary. Tell us about anything that you'd like to share about, first of all, the actual recording of that album, and then how it was commemorated and celebrated all those years later.
So it was Tommy Bolin, myself, Billy Cobham, and Jan Hammer. And Ken Scott engineered and co-produced the album with Billy. And we cut all the tracks except two. We did all of our tracks in 2 days, on a Monday and a Tuesday, I think. And then Ron Carter came in on Wednesday, and they did 2 tracks with big band, and Ron played on that. It was more energy in a room than you ever saw in your life. I mean, Billy was such a remarkable player, and Jan was amazing. I think Robert Moog came down and hung out, and he brought like his first electronic drums. So all that like electric drum stuff in there was them experimenting with his drums. I mean, it was like this. The beauty of that period was there was no rules. Everybody was still kind of writing the book. So there were things that would go on in the studio that you would never see nowadays because everything now is too business. Then it was almost like guerrilla recording, and not James's album, but like it was real kind of underground, feeling it out on a daily basis. So that album was an absolute experience for me. And the thing that's weird is it's 1973, yet if I walk into any studio or any situation now and I start to play Stratus, the bass line, the do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, guys jump all over, drummers start playing. I mean, it's like time hasn't changed. So in 1993, was it 2003, Billy called me and he said, it's the 30th anniversary, should we go gig? Because we never played a gig. We worked 2 days and that was the last time we ever played. So, but Tommy had died tragically many, many years ago. So Dean Brown, who worked with Marcus Miller, was going to play guitar in it, and Gary Husband, who plays drums like Billy Cobham, is suddenly on keyboards, and he's a monstrous keyboard player. So Billy said, we'll do all the Spectrum, and we'll do a bunch of Crosswinds and all his later stuff. And we had a great time. It was stressful because we had a big book to learn, and we only had a couple of days to do it, but we went out and did, I think, it was either 14 shows in 16 days or 16 shows in 18 days, something. And we're all in a van with a U-Haul with the sound guy driving all the gear around. It was like we were kids again. So it's fun. It was fantastic.
I love it. Hey, let's talk a little bit about your equipment. I mentioned we are here at Warwick, and somebody of your stature, you can play any kind of bass you want, and I know you play some other basses, but tell me about Warwick. Why do you like the Warwick bass so much? What's so special about it?
The way I hooked up with Warwick was I always kind of equate Hans Peter to Godzilla. It's kind of like everywhere there's an event going on, he comes in and there's this big footprint that comes down. Like
Hans Peter Wilfer, owner and founder of Warwick.
Absolutely. So I mean, he could squash Tokyo in one fell. So I went to Bass Player Live in Los Angeles, and they had a big room there set up. And I didn't know him. I didn't really know Warwick. I mean, I was familiar with him. I had seen print ads, and I'd seen like Jack Bruce playing Warwick and stuff. But I already had what I needed, that I thought I needed. But I walked into the room, and there was a Starbase 2 fretless sitting there, and there was nobody in the room, so I kind of sat and played it, and I went, this is really a nice bass. And I left. I wasn't talking to anybody. That wasn't my intention that day, to go check out anything. I just came. I usually go to those events socially, just to kind of hang out and see all my friends.
That's where we first met.
I know. I mean, that's what I love about these events. But I went right on the road with Lyle Lovett at that point. And when we got to South Carolina, I called Steve Bailey, who was living down there. He still has his house there, but he's up at Berkeley now in Boston. But I called him and invited him to the show, and he shows up to the show, and he's got that fretless bass. And he said, I told HP that you really loved it, and HP sent it to me. Wow. And so had no expectations of this at all. So I took a picture with it and sent it back to Hans, and I said, man, I can't thank you enough. This is unbelievable. It's because I'm not a gearhead. I don't hustle all the companies for equipment. I've got the few things that I need, and that's what I do.
Why do you like it so much? What do you like about it?
Well, it just played beautifully. It felt great. It all I look for in a bass, I don't care about the cosmetics or any of that stuff. You pick it up if it feels nice and sounds great. That's all I want. It's a tool. It's just, it's what I need to do my job. Then I met HP for the first time. Right after that was the NAMM show. So I went and introduced myself to him. And it was one of those things, like I met him, and within 5 minutes I felt I'd known the guy 20 years. I mean, he's just one of these engaging, really warm human beings. He's an incredible businessman, but he's also so passionate about what he does. And to me, that speaks volumes. People that have that kind of stuff, anybody can go do business, and Donald Trump can go do business, but he's going to screw everything that lives on the way. This guy is the most loving, caring businessman. So we hit it off, and he said, have you ever been to the Music Messe in Frankfurt? And I said, no, I've never been. He goes, want to come? So he flew me over to go to that, and I came out here initially to the factory and saw it, and this completely blew my mind. I mean, this makes the Starship Enterprise look like a Conestoga wagon going across the Midwest in the 18th. It's phenomenal, and plus the green aspect of it, of the geothermal and solar and all the stuff. It's an amazing company and an amazing family. So the Starbase just turned into something that felt so good to play. And since I got it, I've probably done 40 albums on it, and all kinds of stuff. It works on everything. I've used it on every genre, and it works beautifully for everyone. So I'm thrilled with it. I really love playing that bass. So we have a great relationship. I love working with this company.
Yeah, it's a good group of people from the top down.
Yeah.
What have you got coming up in the future? Is there anything that either you have coming up, or something that you aspire to do that you've always wanted to do and haven't done yet?
I don't really think about anything except today and tomorrow. I don't think about my discography, my history. That speaks for itself, but I just want to keep plowing. I don't want those fields to go fallow. So just keep out there digging.
Well, please keep digging, because
I'm there.
Last question, Lee.
Yeah.
What would you be if you were not a bass player? Something outside of music.
Probably a professional transvestite bowler. I know how to bowl in heels, and it makes my calf look better.
I ask pretty much everybody that question, and I get a lot of interesting answers, and I've never gotten that one before.
Well,
so.
I'll let you know which league I join.
Yes, please do, and we'll put it up on For Bass Players Only.
Fantastic. The T-shirts are fantastic.
Okay. From the famous and Warwick World Headquarters, Markneukirchen, Germany, with Leland Sklar, I'm John Liebman. You're watching ForBassPlayersOnly.com.